Good day, everyone. Once again, I'm going to discuss to you mathematics as a tool. We will be dealing with graphs, but in chapter 8, pero masyado siyang mahaba. So I divided it into two parts to make it easier for you. So once again, this is math in a modern world subject, and I'm going to discuss to you the graph. Okay, let's start. Di ba, every day we are surrounded with countless connection and networks like roads and railways. Siyempre, tayo ngayon, phone lines and internet, electronic circuit, and molecular bands. Okay. There's also social networks between friends and families and the likes. Ganon din sa mathematics. All this system can be represented by a graph. So, we will define first what is a graph theory. What do you mean by graph theory? So, a graph theory is a study of graphs and their properties. It, it is one of the most exciting and visual areas in mathematics and has a numerous important application. So, this theory deals with the relationship between objects. Objects are represented, of course, by a dot or a point, which are called the vertices, and the objects are related if there is an edge. What is an edge? It is represented by a line segment or a curve that connects them. And, you know, yung this theory, itong graph na to, started when scientists were asked to find a path or daan to a certain place, and then he will pass the seven bridges. Parang magpapass siya 7 bridges exactly once lang. In this um in this crossover din, 'di ba, isang beses lang siya tatawid, and then it was also developed when sabi nung isang scientist din na you have to you cannot pass a certain vertex at once. Meron talagang magmi-meet sila. So this chapter focus on the basic concept about graph and certain application, such as to find the least expensive route to travel, how to determine the most efficient to run errands, and how to schedule meetings and events. So, this is not really basta lang computation. Actually, wala nga computation. It is like we are just be looking for saan sila nagmi-meet, ilang beses siyang pwedeng maging connect, o ilang beses siyang pwedeng maka-connect sa isang line segment. Now, let's define first what is a graph. As a graph, it is a set of vertex, kagaya nga kanina, represented by points and dots, and edges as a line segment or a curve. So, there are fundamentals of graph. So, two vertices are said to be adjacent if there is an edge connecting them. So, adjacent edge or edges that share a common vertex. The number of edges that meet on a vertex is called the degree of a vertex. Like for example, yung ano natin kanina, yung example ng graph. Okay, this is an example of a graph. So we have edges, vertices. Ang vertices niya is U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. And we also have here the edge o yung line segment. So, edge ng U to UV, UW, UX, UZ, UY, at saka YZ. So, yun yung mga edges. Now, in this figure, we have 6 vertices, yung U, W, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z, and we have 8 edges. Okay? Yung U, yung degree or yung vertex U, 'di ba? Ilan ang degree niya o ilang beses siyang makakonect. So, ang degree niya is 5 kasi yung U UV, UX, U UW, UX, UZ. So, meron siyang 5 connections, yung apat at saka siya. And then, yung V have 2 sa yung VU at saka VW. Yung degree ng W is 3. Bakit 3? Yung WU, WV at saka yung WX. Yung degree ng X is also 3. Yung degree ng Y is also 3. And the degree of Z is how many? Just 1, of course. Now, let's have this second fundamentals of graph. A graph with exactly one vertex is called the trivial graph, which is example yung Z natin. A graph with no edge is called a null end or empty graph. Okay. In general, number 3, in general, a graph may contain a vertex that is not connected to any edge or called the isolated vertex. Two or more vertices that connects in some vertices are called the multiple edges, or the edge that connects the vertex to itself is called a loop. Okay. Now, let's have this example. Number 4. Ito. This is a simple graph. What is a simple graph? It is a graph that has no self-loop or multiple edges. We can sketch the layout of a simple graph using point or line segment. The position of a point and the length of a line is irrelevant. We only care about how they are connected to each other. The line can even cross each other and don't have to be straight. Pwede nga siyang curve o pwede ring line kasi it doesn't have to be straight. On each on the other hand, the graph with multiple edge are called the multiple graph. Ito yung ano natin, example natin sa figure B. Ang figure B is called the multiple graph, and a graph with a multiple edge and loop is called the pseudograph, or this is the figure letter C. Okay. Other example of a graph. Look at this. 'Di ba kanina, it is a line segment and now it is an arrow. So in some graph, the edge only goes in one way. Kaya may arrow siya. It will go in one way. They are called the directed graph. Look at the figure D natin. Unless otherwise stated, graph is in this text means undirected graph. Some graph consist of multiple distinct segments which are not connected by edges. Okay. These graph are disconnected. So, I'm going to present to you a disconnected graph. Like for example, figure E. Diba? This is an example of a disconnected graph. Connected graph naman, on the other hand, are graph in which any vertices can be reached from any other vertex by tracing along the edge. Etong figure F natin is also a disconnected graph but with a loop. Okay? Arrow siya or pwedeng continuous, pwedeng hindi. So, yung sinasabi nating directed graph is ano yata yung sample ko. Anyway, directed graph is this one. Have I told? Pinakita ko na, no? This one is directed graph, connected, and disconnected. Ito yung tatlo sa number 5. Okay. Connect. This is the subgraph naman. What do you mean by subgraph ngayon? Subgraph are we can create new graph from an existing graph by removing some of the vertices and edges. So, etong pangalawa nating sa figure G, yung second image dyan can be drawn from this multiple graph. So, this is called the subgraph. Okay. Next is a complete graph. A complete graph naman is a connected graph in which every vertex is connected to each other and other vertices. That is every possible edge is drawn between vertices without any multiple edge. See the figure. Di ba? Ito yung line segment pa lang. Line segment, o yung triangle, quadrilateral, pentagon. They are a complete graph. A complete graph. What do you mean by this is the equivalent graph? Okay. Kasi ilan yung point, 'di ba? Graph are considered equivalent graph if the edge form the same connection of vertices in each group. Look at the figure. This is an example of a equivalent graph. Pareho lang yan. Bilangin niyo yung points, bilangin niyo yung line. Di ba? Now, this is second to the last topic about the graph or fundamentals of graph. Let's go back to our first example, yung figure A natin to. So, a walk of length in this graph is a succession of edges. Okay. So, we have here, diba, consider the following graph. Yung UVWX at saka yung, again, yung UVW at saka UVWX and UYZ is a walk of length. Walk of length, ilan? 6. So, yung UVWX, YZ is a trail of length. Yan yung 5 naman. Walk length, it is a length of, trail of length, 5. Yung YXWV is a trail also of length 3. Okay? Yung UVWX, Y, and Z is a path of length of 5. So, hindi nyo i-count yung first nyo kasi mag-walk kayo one way. Next, yung Y, sundan nyo yung letter yung Y, U, V, W, X is a path of length 4. And U, V, W, X, Y, and U again is a cycle of length 5. Yung X, Y, U, X is a 3 circle. circle of three. Now, what I want you to do is to do next page, the exercises. This one, konti lang naman yan. Give what is asked. Okay? And submit it to our Google Class. I'm going to provide it for you. And that's all, guys, for your seat work. God bless and have a great day ahead of you. Okay? Don't forget to subscribe and, of course, watch, like, and subscribe. That's all, guys. Thank you. God bless.